There's a quiet moment that many older adults experience but rarely speak of. The pause at the bottom of the stairs when your legs hesitate before lifting you upward. The subtle struggle to rise from a chair without using your hands. Or the silent wish that you still felt as strong and steady as you once did. Strength, we often assume, fades with time. But what if that wasn't entirely true? What if growing older didn't mean growing weaker? And what if the path back to muscular vitality wasn't in some miracle cure, but hidden in the simple habits you practice each day? In today's video, we're opening the door to a new perspective on aging, one grounded in science, guided by real-life examples, and filled with practical habits that can help you restore the kind of strength that makes everyday life feel easier, freer, and more joyful again. Let's explore what your body is still capable of, and how to help it rediscover its power. 1. Hormetic stressors, a good stress. In the journey of aging, many believe that the loss of muscle strength and physical vitality is a natural and irreversible process. However, modern science invites us to look deeper and reconsider this assumption. One of the most powerful, yet surprisingly simple tools to preserve strength and resilience well into our senior years lies in something called hormetic stress. At first glance, this term may sound intimidating, but its essence is beautifully straightforward. Hormetic stress refers to small, controlled doses of physical challenges that may seem mildly uncomfortable at first, like a short blast of cold water at the end of a shower or a brief period of fasting, but which, when practiced safely and consistently, trigger the body's remarkable ability to adapt, strengthen, and renew itself. Just as a tree grows stronger against the wind, or bones become denser under weight-bearing activity, the human body responds to moderate, temporary stress by becoming more resilient. This concept isn't new. Ancient cultures and traditional practices have long included exposure to heat, cold, fasting, and even disciplined exertion as part of daily life. Today, science confirms that these traditions hold deep physiological wisdom. For example, ending a warm shower with 30 to 60 seconds of cold water might sound unpleasant, but it activates brown fat and stimulates a hormone called adiponectin, which protects and supports muscle tissue. Similarly, spending time in a sauna or taking a hot bath can activate heat shock proteins, which play a crucial role in repairing damaged muscle cells and preventing muscle breakdown. These gentle stressors act as wake-up calls to the body's repair systems, much like how sharpening a blade requires friction. Another powerful practice is intermittent fasting, restricting eating to an 8 to 10 hour window each day, which can stimulate a process known as autophagy, where the body clears out damaged cells and enhances the health of muscle tissues at a cellular level. What's truly inspiring is that these practices, though small and manageable, can have profound effects even for people in their 70s or 80s. They don't require hours in a gym or expensive treatments. Instead, they ask only for mindful attention, a willingness to try, and respect for the body's natural rhythms of challenge and recovery. It's important to remember that the key is moderation. These stressors are not meant to exhaust or overwhelm, but rather to gently stimulate the body's innate strength. Just as we do not need to run a marathon to improve our heart health, we do not need to endure extreme discomfort to reap the benefits of hormetic stress. What matters most is consistency and listening to your own body. Over time, these small habits accumulate to form a powerful foundation for healthy aging. They help preserve mobility, independence, and a sense of vitality that many assume must fade with age. But perhaps most importantly, engaging with hormetic stress reconnects us with our inner vitality, the quiet but enduring strength that still lives within, waiting to be awakened with care, intention, and courage. 2. Strategic protein timing. As we grow older, one of the most overlooked yet profoundly impactful shifts that occurs in our bodies is the way we process and utilize protein. While many seniors are well aware of the importance of consuming enough protein to maintain strength and function, what often goes unnoticed is that when we eat protein may be just as crucial, if not more, than how much we consume. This idea is known as strategic protein timing, and it is grounded in an important biological reality. With age, our bodies experience something called anabolic resistance. In simpler terms, This means that our muscles become less efficient at using the protein we eat to build and maintain strength. The body's internal response to protein becomes blunted, making it more challenging to keep muscles strong and healthy, even when overall protein intake seems sufficient. To counter this, science now shows that distributing protein evenly throughout the day, rather than consuming most of it in a single meal, often dinner, is essential. Each meal creates a limited window of opportunity, roughly 3 to 4 hours long, during which the body is especially receptive to protein's benefits. If this window is missed, the potential for muscle synthesis fades, and what remains unused may be lost. This is why breakfast, traditionally the most protein-deficient meal for many, becomes an important opportunity. Instead of starting the day with toast or cereal, which provide little to no protein, older adults can benefit from meals that include eggs, Greek yogurt, protein smoothies, or other high-quality protein sources. Lunch and dinner should continue this balanced approach, incorporating lean meats, fish, dairy, or plant-based proteins like legumes and lentils. Studies have shown that by spreading protein intake across all 3 meals, muscle protein synthesis can increase by as much as 25%, even without adding extra exercise or making other lifestyle changes. In one controlled study, seniors who followed this pattern gained over a pound of muscle mass in just 12 weeks. An achievement that may seem modest on paper, but translates into significant improvements in strength, balance, and daily energy. Strategic protein timing is not about drastic change, but rather gentle shifts in routine that align with the body's evolving needs. It requires no special supplements or rigid dieting, only mindfulness and a willingness to nourish the body with intention. In doing so, older adults can actively support their independence and vitality. In a world that often assumes physical decline as inevitable with age, this simple yet powerful habit reminds us that the choices we make each day, when we eat, what we eat, and how we nourish our bodies, can determine not only how we age, but how we thrive while doing so. Embracing strategic protein timing is a quiet act of self-care and strength, one that reinforces our right to remain capable, active, and empowered, regardless of the number of candles on our birthday cake. Number 3. Optimize vitamin D. Among the many nutrients that contribute to our overall health, few are as underestimated, yet as essential to aging gracefully, as vitamin D. Often associated solely with bone health, this vital nutrient plays a far more expansive role, especially when it comes to maintaining muscle strength and function in older adults. As we age, it becomes increasingly difficult for our bodies to produce enough vitamin D naturally, even with regular sun exposure. The skin, which once efficiently converted sunlight into this crucial nutrient, gradually loses its capacity to do so. By the time we reach our 60s or 70s, our skin may produce only half as much vitamin D as it did in our youth. The result is a quiet but widespread deficiency that weakens muscles over time, compromises balance, and increases the risk of falls. One of the most common and dangerous threats to senior independence. What makes this especially concerning is that most people are unaware they are deficient. The symptoms are subtle at first, perhaps a bit of fatigue, slower reflexes, reduced grip strength, or a decline in mobility. But beneath the surface, vitamin D deficiency disrupts the communication between nerves and muscles, delays recovery from minor injuries, and diminishes the body's ability to build and preserve lean muscle mass. Scientific studies have shown that vitamin D directly influences genes responsible for muscle growth and repair. It activates specific receptors within muscle tissue, acting like a key that unlocks the door to regeneration and resilience. Seniors with optimal levels of vitamin D, generally considered to be blood levels above 40 nanograms per milliliter, tend to enjoy better muscle strength, greater stability, sharper reflexes, and overall improved physical performance compared to those who are deficient. They are more likely to climb stairs with ease, rise from a chair without struggle, and maintain an active lifestyle well into their later years. Unfortunately, the recommended daily intake of vitamin D for older adults, which often hovers around 600 IU, is typically too low to restore optimal levels once a deficiency has set in. Research now suggests that a more appropriate dosage for many seniors may range from 2,000 to 4,000 IU per day, depending on individual needs. However, Because vitamin D is fat-soluble and builds up in the body over time, supplementation should ideally be based on a blood test and guided by a healthcare provider. In addition to sunlight and supplements, vitamin D can be found in foods like fatty fish, such as salmon and mackerel, egg yolks, and fortified dairy products. Yet even a well-balanced diet may not provide enough to correct or prevent deficiency, especially in regions with limited sunshine or in individuals who spend most of their time indoors. It's also crucial to understand that vitamin D does not work alone. It functions in harmony with other nutrients, particularly vitamin K2, which helps direct calcium to the bones where it's needed, rather than allowing it to build up in the arteries, where it can cause harm. Without enough K2, high doses of vitamin D may unintentionally increase the risk of arterial calcification, a concern that can be easily avoided by ensuring these two nutrients are consumed together. Foods rich in vitamin K2 include fermented vegetables, cheeses, and certain animal-based products, all of which can be incorporated into a varied and senior-friendly diet. What this all points to is a broader truth about aging and muscle health. It is not just about staying active or eating more protein, but also about giving the body the micronutrients it needs to function optimally at a cellular level. Optimizing vitamin D is a foundational step in this process. It requires awareness, action, and sometimes a bit of professional guidance, but the payoff is substantial. With improved vitamin D levels, many older adults report renewed energy, stronger muscles, and a steadier sense of balance that allows them to engage more confidently with the world around them. In a sense, this quiet vitamin restores not only physical strength, but also a deeper sense of independence and vitality. In a stage of life where so much emphasis is placed on what is being lost, reclaiming strength through such a simple yet powerful adjustment is both empowering and hopeful. It reminds us that even in later years, we can still make choices, wise, informed choices that support a vibrant and capable life. 4. Daily inflammation control. One of the most silent yet significant threats to our health as we age is something that often goes unnoticed, quietly working beneath the surface: chronic low-grade inflammation. This condition, sometimes referred to as inflammaging, is a subtle fire that burns slowly within the body, often without any outward signs. It gradually erodes strength, energy, and function. Unlike acute inflammation, which is the body's short-term, healing response to injury or infection, chronic inflammation lingers unnecessarily, and over time it begins to wear down healthy tissues, including muscles. This hidden process accelerates muscle breakdown, interferes with the body's ability to rebuild after exercise or meals, and blocks the very signals that tell muscles to grow. Even when a person is eating well or staying active, persistent inflammation can quietly sabotage their efforts, leaving them wondering why strength and vitality continue to fade. But this is not an unchangeable fate. In fact, studies show that reducing inflammation is one of the most powerful ways to preserve muscle and protect mobility well into older age. Some individuals in their 70s and 80s, those often referred to as superagers, have found ways to keep their inflammation levels remarkably low. And as a result, they maintain muscle mass and physical energy far beyond what most would expect. Their secret lies not in a single medication or treatment, but in a collection of small, consistent daily habits that nurture the body's natural balance. Quality sleep is one of the most essential factors, as restful, uninterrupted sleep allows the body to regulate inflammatory chemicals and repair cellular damage overnight. In contrast, poor or fragmented sleep can spike inflammatory markers by as much as 40%. Equally important is the health of the gut, which plays a surprising role in controlling inflammation. As we age, the balance of bacteria in our digestive system often shifts, sometimes leading to increased systemic inflammation. By eating a wide variety of plant-based foods, ideally 30 or more types per week, and incorporating fermented options like yogurt, kefir, or sauerkraut, older adults can support a healthier gut environment, which in turn supports lower inflammation. Movement also plays a nuanced role. While regular exercise is key to staying strong, pushing the body too hard, especially with high-intensity workouts done too frequently, can actually raise inflammation levels. Superagers tend to train at moderate intensity most of the time, and include only 1 or 2 brief high-intensity sessions per week to reap benefits without tipping the body into stress. Finally, diet and supplementation offer powerful tools for control. Omega-3 fatty acids, found in fatty fish or taken as supplements, along with anti-inflammatory compounds like curcumin from turmeric and polyphenols found in berries, green tea, and extra virgin olive oil, have all been shown to lower key inflammatory markers. In fact, a well-rounded anti-inflammatory regimen can reduce systemic inflammation by nearly 30% in just a few months. Blood tests such as HSCRP can provide insight into inflammation levels, and superagers often keep this value well below 1 milligram per liter, a target far better than the general population. The beauty of inflammation control lies in its quiet, foundational strength. It's not about pushing harder or doing more, but about creating an internal environment where the body can function as it was designed to, restoring, rebuilding, and renewing with ease. For older adults who wish to preserve their independence, strength, and sense of vitality, managing inflammation is not just a wellness tip. It is a daily act of self-respect, a long-term investment in comfort, movement, and longevity. 5. Essential micronutrients. As we age, there is a growing awareness of the need for adequate protein, balanced meals, and regular movement. But what often slips through the cracks is the critical role of micronutrients. Those tiny but mighty vitamins and minerals that act behind the scenes to keep our muscles strong, our cells energized, and our bodies functioning at their best. While macronutrients like protein, fats, and carbohydrates receive the most attention, it is the less visible players, the essential micronutrients, that enable those nutrients to actually do their jobs. Without them, even the healthiest diet or most consistent exercise routine may fall short. These micronutrients are like the sparks that light the fire of muscle synthesis and metabolic health. Among the most important is magnesium, a mineral involved in over 300 biochemical processes in the body, many of which directly impact muscle contraction, energy production, and nerve signaling. As we age, magnesium absorption declines, and deficiencies become more common, leading to fatigue, cramps, and reduced physical performance. Foods rich in magnesium, such as leafy greens, nuts, seeds, and dark chocolate, are valuable additions to a senior's diet, but even with careful eating, supplementation may be necessary to reach optimal levels. Another powerful yet often misunderstood micronutrient is creatine, commonly associated with younger athletes, but shown by research to offer significant benefits for older adults as well. Supplementing with just a small amount daily can help increase muscle mass, improve strength, and even enhance mental clarity by supporting the brain's energy systems. It creates a cellular environment that favors repair and growth, making it an effective ally in combating age-related muscle loss. Vitamin B12 is another essential nutrient whose importance becomes even more pronounced with age. As stomach acid levels decline, the body becomes less able to absorb B12 from food sources, leading to deficiencies that can impact muscle energy and nerve function. Symptoms can be subtle at first, slower movements, tingling, or balance issues, but left unaddressed, they can significantly affect daily life. Older adults benefit most from the methylated form of B12, known as methylcobalamin, which the body can use more effectively than the synthetic form found in many standard multivitamins. Alongside these major players are trace minerals like zinc, selenium, and chromium, each contributing in quiet but vital ways to protein metabolism, insulin sensitivity, and cellular repair. Deficiencies in these areas may not be immediately obvious, but can gradually lead to reduced muscle quality and poor recovery. The most successful older adults, the so-called superagers, often take a personalized approach to micronutrient support. Rather than relying on generic multivitamins, they undergo micronutrient testing to identify specific gaps and then supplement accordingly. This precision not only avoids unnecessary intake, but ensures the body receives exactly what it needs, in the right form and amount. By paying attention to these micronutrients, older adults give themselves the tools to stay strong, energized, and mentally sharp. It is a quiet yet profound form of self-care, one that doesn't call attention to itself, but instead quietly empowers the body to resist decline, rebuild from within, and continue thriving with clarity and confidence. In the grand picture of aging well, Essential micronutrients are the threads that hold the tapestry together, and tending to them can make all the difference between merely aging and aging with grace, vitality, and strength. 6. Protect neuromuscular junctions. When we think about muscle strength, most of us naturally focus on the muscle itself, on its size, tone, or the ability to lift, carry, and move. But what often goes unnoticed is a far more delicate and fundamental connection, the point where the brain and the muscle meet, known as the neuromuscular junction. This small but mighty link is like a communication bridge, transmitting the brain's instructions through nerves to the muscle fibers that respond with movement. As we grow older, this connection becomes increasingly vulnerable. After the age of 60, the neuromuscular junction begins to deteriorate, not all at once, but gradually and silently. The messages from the brain start to lose their clarity and speed. Muscles, in turn, respond more slowly or less efficiently. This decline doesn't always show itself in obvious ways at first. It may appear as mild sluggishness, occasional unsteadiness, or a sense that certain physical tasks require more effort than they used to. But over time, the breakdown of these neural pathways can contribute significantly to muscle weakness, balance issues, and even falls. What makes this all the more crucial is that even if an older adult maintains a healthy diet and regular exercise, the full benefits may not be realized if the brain-muscle connection is impaired. That's why protecting and nurturing neuromuscular junctions is essential to aging well. Fortunately, there are specific, proven ways to support these connections, many of which are not only accessible but also enjoyable. Activities that require coordination and precision, such as Tai Chi, dancing, table tennis, or tennis, engage the brain in unique ways, encouraging it to send sharper and more effective signals to the muscles. These aren't merely hobbies, they are cognitive physical practices that stimulate neuromuscular function more effectively than simple walking or repetitive workouts. Just 2 sessions per week of such activities can preserve neuromuscular function by over 30% more than traditional exercise alone. In addition, certain nutrients and natural compounds can nourish this communication system from within. Supplements such as alpha-lipoic acid and acetyl L-carnitine have been shown to protect nerve-muscle connections from oxidative stress, while others like benfotiamine, a special form of vitamin B1, and huperzine A help boost neurotransmitters like acetylcholine, which is essential for activating muscle fibers. Even something as simple as daily breathing exercises, like the box breathing technique, where you inhale, hold, exhale, and pause for equal counts, can stimulate the vagus nerve, enhancing the flow of information between the brain and the body. Furthermore, cognitive activity plays a bigger role than many might expect. Engaging in mentally challenging tasks, learning new skills, solving puzzles, or reading complex material not only keeps the brain sharp, but also strengthens the neural pathways that influence physical performance. This shared circuitry between mind and body reveals a beautiful truth. Maintaining physical strength is not just a matter of moving more, but also of thinking more deeply, engaging more fully, and living more attentively. Protecting the neuromuscular junction is ultimately about keeping the connection between who we are and what we can do alive and strong. It is a reminder that our bodies and minds are not separate systems, but deeply intertwined. In nurturing this connection, older adults empower themselves to remain active, coordinated, and independent, allowing them to continue expressing their vitality with grace and confidence in every movement they make. 7. Progressive resistance training, PRT. Of all the habits that contribute to strength, vitality, and independence in later life, few are as impactful or as misunderstood as progressive resistance training. While many older adults are told that walking, gardening, or light stretching is enough to maintain health, what science now clearly shows is that these gentle forms of movement, though beneficial for circulation and joint mobility, are simply not sufficient to prevent the steady decline in muscle mass and strength that naturally comes with age. Muscles follow a simple rule: use them or lose them. But the full truth goes deeper than that. To not only maintain but improve muscle strength, especially after the age of 60, muscles must be actively and regularly challenged in a structured, progressive way. This does not mean lifting heavy weights in a gym with aggressive intensity. It means engaging the muscles with thoughtful resistance that gradually increases over time, whether through bodyweight exercises, resistance bands, or appropriately weighted movements adapted to one's ability. Progressive resistance training, or PRT, works because it taps into the body's innate response to challenge. When muscles are pushed just slightly beyond their comfort zone, until they reach a point known as momentary muscular fatigue, the body receives a clear and urgent signal. Rebuild, repair, grow stronger. This stimulus triggers a cascade of biological activity that can increase muscle protein synthesis for up to 72 hours after just one session. Over time, this consistent messaging leads to real, measurable gains in strength, balance, and confidence. And perhaps most remarkable is how achievable this is, even for those in their 70s or 80s. In one study, older adults who followed a simple PRT program twice a week gained over 3 pounds of lean muscle and improved their strength by 35% in just 3 months, without dangerous strain or injury. The approach that superagers take is rooted not in duration, but in intensity and precision. They prioritize compound movements, such as squats, rows, or presses, that engage multiple muscle groups at once and mimic real-life tasks like standing up, lifting groceries, or climbing stairs. They track their progress, listen to their bodies, and focus on good form. Importantly, they also emphasize the eccentric phase of movement, the part where you slowly lower a weight or control your body's descent, which builds strength effectively while reducing stress on the joints. What sets these individuals apart is not superhuman effort, but consistent, well-informed action. Resistance training becomes less about building bulky muscles and more about reclaiming the ability to live freely, to rise from a chair without effort, to carry a grandchild with ease, to walk with confidence rather than caution. It becomes a deeply personal expression of autonomy. For many older adults, the greatest barrier to starting resistance training is not physical limitation, but the outdated belief that it is unsafe, unnecessary, or only for the young. In reality, the true risk lies in doing nothing, allowing muscle loss to continue unchecked until the body can no longer support itself independently. Embracing progressive resistance training is not an act of defiance against aging, but rather a wise and grounded investment in the years ahead. It is a quiet, determined form of resilience that strengthens not only the body, but the spirit. And in making strength a habit, older adults give themselves the greatest gift of all: the freedom to keep living on their own terms. The truth is, strength doesn't disappear overnight. It slips away slowly, often unnoticed, until one day we feel it missing. But here's the powerful reality. Just as muscle fades with neglect, it returns with care. Every small decision, every new habit, every effort you make to move with purpose, it all matters. The habits we've shared today are not reserved for athletes or the unusually gifted. They're for you, for your mornings, for your peace of mind, for the freedom to walk with confidence, to stand tall, to live independently, not just today, but for many healthy, active years to come. So choose one habit. Begin there. Let your future self look back at this moment with gratitude, knowing this was the day everything began to shift. And if you found value here, don't forget to like, subscribe, and share this video with someone you care about. Together, let's help more seniors reclaim the strength that's still within them, waiting to be awakened.